torque wrenches. What makes them tick? Better yet, what makes them click? We're going to dig into the details, and I mean the real details. When we get back, I'm Tim Johnson. You're watching Shop Tool Reviews. We all probably have a torque wrench or 3 or maybe even 5 in our toolboxes. Maybe 1/4 inch variety, 3/8 variety, a couple of 1/2 inch. Some of the big guys may even have the 3/4 inch and 1 inch torque wrenches that are 6 feet long. But anyway, what makes them click? And really, what's inside them that makes them click? We're going to look into that. Also, how does it do it? We're going to look into that as well. We're even going to talk about how to properly use a click style torque wrench and why it's important when we stow it away that we actually turn down the dial or take it to 0 or at least the lowest setting on the torque wrench itself. When it comes down to it, really there's 3 main style torque wrenches. You have your old beam style, which actually had a smaller beam that sat above the handle that kind of with a gauge on the end, told you kind of how much flex was in the shaft and told you how much force you were putting on it. There's even some old kind of dial indicator style torque wrenches as well. But for the most part today, we see click stop torque wrenches or click style torque wrenches as well as electronic torque wrenches. Now, we're really not going to dig into the details on the electronic, much different type of internals, if you will, the same as the beam torque wrench, pretty understandably of how the beam style works. But when we're looking at the click stop, what makes these things click? What actually calibrates them and actually tells it when to click, kind of when to break away, if you will. And usually when you're using a click stop torque wrench, you actually not only hear it, you hear the audible click, and a lot of times sound kind of that click click as it comes back in, but you also feel it in the handle. So what actually causes that? We're actually going to look at that. We're also going to look at how to use one. So let's jump in first and just kind of talk about how we're supposed to use a click stop torque wrench. And then we'll come back and we'll actually dig in and see what makes it tick or what makes it click and see the internals of the actual click style torque wrench. So this particular torque wrench is actually Sonic Tools click stop style torque wrench, and is one of their 1/2 inch anvil models. So going to use 1/2 inch sockets. And this is their 80 to 400 Newton meter wrench. Now they, like I mentioned, they do have other models as well. I think this is the highest on the 1/2 inch drive. The next one steps up to 3/4 inch, but they do have a smaller one in the 1/2 inch drive as well. But this goes 80 to 400 Newton meters, which I believe is 60 to 250 foot-pounds. And you see here on the magnification window here, you can easily set this. Your foot-pounds are on the bottom and your Newton meters are on the top. And you also have a fine measurement here, which is basically your tenths. So every 1/10 of a pound or 1/10 of a Newton meter, 1/10 of a turn, if you will. So this is a GM SUV. We're going to set this at 140 foot-pounds. So I'm basically going to unlock the hub here or unlock the handle by sliding this out. So different types of locks for different types of tools. In this case, on this torque wrench, it's just slide this back out. And now we can turn this handle. And as you see, the scale here slide up, and we're going to get to a 140 foot-pounds, which there we go, and we'll get that back to 0. Lock it in by sliding the cap there up. So now this is locked in; it won't turn anymore. And so now we're actually ready to set the torque on these lug nuts. Now, what we want to do is we want a nice smooth pull or a push. I usually like to pull on these, but in this case, I'm going to be pushing. A lot of times on lug nuts, you do have to go into kind of a push mode. But anyway, you want to be smooth. You don't want to just jerk this and kind of eclipse the window there. Because, by the way, you can force a click style torque wrench past the yield rating. It's not like it stops turning when it clicks. It just lets you know, and you need to stop. So you need to use that as kind of your sensory organ, if you will, that once you hear and feel that click, which, by the way, on this Sonic, one thing I really like about it is you'll hear the very positive click in this. So we're going to apply some force here. Another turn. There we go. So you hear that really loud click, and you can tell it's pretty intense. You can actually feel it through the handle, no problem at all. I like to give it a couple of clicks, and now on a 6 lug, I'm going to go to the opposite lug here. on a 5 lug, you'll do a star pattern, but your 6s and 4s, you're going to do opposite. So I'm going to go over here. So you can hear that really positive click, and that's what's happening when you hear that click style or click stop torque wrench, is you're feeling it in the wrench as well as hearing it. And like I mentioned, this has a really positive, really loud click. I really like that. You can feel it. There's no question about it whatsoever. There are many out there that have really wimpy clicks, and I don't like that whatsoever. So make sure you get a good torque wrench that has a nice firm click to it. And again, once I get done, I also like to go back and just kind of confirm on each one of your lugs that you've reached that torque limit. Because once you do it the first time, typically the one you started with, you might have to give another 8th turn or something like that. So if you go around it twice, then you know that you've kind of confirmed that, hey, we're at 140 foot-pounds. So that's kind of how you use a click stop style torque wrench. And by the way, we'll get into this in more detail in just a moment, but we also want to return it back to 0 or return it back to the lowest setting on the torque wrench itself. So we actually saw the Sonic torque wrench in use, actually torquing down some lug nuts on a GM SUV, torquing them down to 140 foot-pounds, and kind of how it works, the sound of it, the feel of it, and the fact that we really like this torque wrench because you actually feel a very positive sensation when it clicks. You obviously hear it as well. A lot of times in the shop, there's loud noises, so you want to be able to make sure that you're hearing that and feeling that. In a wrench like this, you definitely do. We've used others in the past that definitely didn't have that positive click. It was more kind of really a mellow click, and you're like, did that just break away or did it not? Did we actually reach that torque limit or did we not? So anyway, it's very important, we think, to actually have a torque wrench that actually you can hear very well as feel it in the handle, and this one does just that. Now, why is it important to return these back to 0? Well, we're going to dig into that in just a moment, but definitely when we get done doing what we did there, where we got it cranked up to say 140 foot-pounds, we want to actually, take off the lock or unlock the handle. And in some situations, it may be pulling back a collar like this here where it automatically goes to lock. In the Sonic case, you just pull this back and then you loosen this up and crank this down to, in this case, 60 foot-pounds is kind of the bottom of the scale for this to relax that spring. Now, let's actually look at the internals of one of these torque wrenches and actually see what causes these to actually click and give that positive sensation that you feel when it reaches the torque limit that you've set on it. So here we have a click style torque wrench, a little bit different than Sonic, but same type of idea of how it actually works. We have a number scale here in Newton meters and foot-pounds, and a locking ring here that we pull this back and turn it and move it up the scale, and then you have your tenths, if you will, so you can actually dial in exactly the number you want or the pounds you want, the Newton meters you want. But anyway, aside from that, let's look at the internals and actually see how this works. So I've already taken the little snap ring off of that, or the locking ring, if you will, and then all I have to do is pull this pin out. Now when I pull this pin out, this thing's already under pressure because they go together against the spring, which you'll see in just a second. There we go. So I pulled the pin out, and now we'll see. So pull this out, and you see that this has got, this is kind of the business end here. So this is on your anvil side that's applying the force. And you see a conical shape, or a cone shape, if you will, where you've basically got a tapered shaft. You also see kind of a keyed shape here on the end. So basically there's a groove there where something rides, and we'll see here in just a second as we dump the contents out of here. So now we see out of the middle of the shaft we've got a spring, and then on this end you see we've got another groove there, or another kind of keyed area, if you will, where exactly what this does is that's a key that actually rides. I'm calling it a key. It's a little square or rectangle, if you will, and it actually rides in that groove right there, and it actually rides between these two right here. Well, if I could figure out how to do this. So you can see it rides just like that. And so All that is inside that shaft in there. And what happens is these two ball ends here on this little key, if you will, that actually rides in that shaft like this. So it's inside there, and so that shaft keeps it from going, riding too far up or down. And what happens is, as extreme force is applied, it actually makes this pin roll. So as it's like this, there's side force that's applied that makes it kind of break away. It does just like that. And so as more force is applied, that rolls, and basically it jumps to that next side, and also this slaps, pop, against the side of the handle. So that gives you that positive click sensation as well as hearing that click. You'll also see that here on this chrome vanadium handle here, as it's tapering down here on the end, we don't see that chrome. Basically, that's been heat treated. So again, that doesn't wear away as this is happening over and over and over. Also, you can understand now that as more force is applied to this spring, as you twist your handle, making it tighter, more force is applied to this key, which then takes more force to break it away, if you will, and make it click or make it roll. So as more force is applied to that key, and therefore it takes more force to break that away and do that. And so you can see here, that's exactly what's happening when it's clicking. It clicks against the side. When you let off, comes back. So it just rolls that pin over. So you see that? So pretty cool, very simple, very rudimentary, if you will, or very, I shouldn't say archaic, but a very simple design, really, that works really, really well. So over and over, you see it just clicks and comes back. And again, you get that clicking sensation of that pin rolling, as well as this slapping up against the side of the handle itself, which again, remember, you've got this torque that we had it torqued earlier at 140 foot-pounds. You got 140 pounds of force against that spring that's then causing that to really jump when you got a lot of force and slap the side of that handle to give you that clicking sensation, as well as hear that clicking sensation. That also explains why it's very important to return your torque wrench back to the lowest setting, because this spring will fatigue, especially if you keep it compressed or if you stretch it. So, car springs, coil springs in a car, struts in a car, valve springs, over time they degrade, over time they weaken. Same thing with a torque wrench. If this is not calibrated from time to time, also if you're not returning it back to zero or back to the lowest setting, you're going to fatigue the spring, and therefore it's going to be reading incorrectly, and you're going to be basically torquing bolts to the wrong amount, if you will. So make sure you get your torque wrenches calibrated, and hopefully that gives you a little better idea of how a torque wrench works, of how the clicking happens, of how the positive detent in the handle itself happens. So there you have it. So seeing the internals of the torque wrench probably gives you a better idea of maybe how it works. Now, you may not fully understand it, but again, you get the idea of what's happening in there, and that there's multiple pieces in there that as you apply more force, kind of breaks away, slaps the side of the handle, and gives you that positive sensation, as well as gives you that audible click. Now, also what's important is a calibration card. Now, whenever you buy a torque wrench, make sure, number one, it's a reputable company, a reputable tool company, because you should always get a calibration card with it. Other things like if you ever bought an aftermarket camshaft for your vehicle, you'll get a cam card with it. Kind of validates what the grind is on the cam and what the duration is on the cam, the lobe separation, things like that. Same thing with a torque wrench. This validates that this actual torque wrench was actually calibrated, and it actually tells you what limits they were. In this case, Sonic guarantees their accuracy within a 3-degree or a 3% window. And this validates that actually the lowest this got, or the highest spread, if you will, was 2.5% from the mean, if you will. So this is very good. It's well within spec throughout. Like I said, that was the worst at 2.5%. And also understand something else. Most of the time on torque wrenches, on the upper 75% of the window. In other words, this Sonic torque wrench, it's good from 80 Newton meters all the way up to 400 Newton meters, which is like 60 foot-pounds to 250 foot-pounds, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the accuracy is usually much higher on the top 75% of that window. In other words, down in the low range, it doesn't have as good of an accuracy as it does on the high range. And that's really throughout all click-stop torque wrenches, because you're just not getting into that kind of meat of the window on that spring compression, if you will. So understand that. If you're on the lower end of a torque wrench, say you needed to torque something at 80 Newton meters, and this is the bottom of this one, you may want to step down to that, smaller torque wrench that you have, so that it may be in the upper side of the window on that. So just understand that. You can, do some more research, if you will, on that to maybe explain that a little better. But for the most part, we want to make sure that you have a calibration card with your torque wrench. This actually tells us that in April of 2019, so roughly a year ago, this actual torque wrench was calibrated, and you need to have these regularly calibrated as well. Also, it's very important that, again, we return that to zero, return it to the bottom of the scale when we're done using that torque wrench. Hopefully this gives you a little better idea of how torque wrench works, how to use a torque wrench. Hey, if you don't mind, click that like and subscribe button if you like this video. Also, hit the bell notification. That's going to let you know when we got new videos available. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Have a great day, and go out and do something nice for someone. Kind of bleh, bleh, bleh.